Alrighty. Good evening, Facebook land live town hall here this evening on November 5th. Wow, time flies, right? Here we are going on our ninth, 10th month here, this pandemic. So thank you for joining us this evening. Those of you who are on, we appreciate you. Look forward to spending some time with you here in leadership here from the Office of the President, Vice President, and Office of the Controller. We also have Dr. Jill Jim from our Department of Health here, and also Dr. Perphelia Fowler from our Human Resources Department. So appreciate Eli here, and let's get started as we always do, open up with prayer, and then our President, Jonathan Nez, will be addressing you all. So without further ado, let's go to the Lord in prayer. And God, we give you praise this evening. Holy God, we ask for your protection, Lord, tonight. We ask that we could be made right with you and in you, Lord. We ask you to be with our families, Lord, all those that are hurting, those that are mourning, and Lord, be with them, give them strength and comfort. Father, we thank you for your wisdom. Ask your Holy Spirit to be with us tonight, Lord, as we take this meeting, Lord, and give vital data and information to the people all across the Navajo Nation, Lord, a land that you set us here, Lord, by your great provision. We thank you, we acknowledge you in your preeminence, Lord. Be with us, protect our people, Lord, as we go forth. And Lord, in this time of a confusion, Lord, and doubt and consternation, Lord, we pray for the United States of America, these United States of America, Lord, Father, your people, Father, our brothers and sisters, Lord, many ethnicities, many tribes and tongues, Lord, Father, who, Lord, I pray we are reaching out to you, Lord, praying and just giving you all of our cares and concerns. And that's what we should do, and that's what we need to do, Lord. That's what pleases you. Father, I pray that all across the land, people are looking for ways to please you and to honor you and to admire you, Lord. And we thank you again for being the great God that you are. You've created us, and you placed eternity in our heart. So we thank you again this evening, Lord. Thank you for your grace and mercy. Now, Father, just be with us in this meeting, Lord, and let us give the data and the information to the people, and let them be blessed for it, and may they run with it, Lord. Thank you again for all those on this town hall, Father. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen. So, ladies and gentlemen, as I've said, just without further ado, we have a great lineup this evening, just like all evenings, but without getting too much into so much of my talk, I will join you here in a few short minutes here. So right now, let's listen and hear from our president, who we admire his leadership and his exemplary leadership in this fight against COVID-19 during this pandemic. So, ladies and gentlemen, Jonathan Nez, the president of the Navajo Nation. Take it away, sir.
Oh, yeah. Amen. On the prayer, Brother Vice President Lizer. And thank you for your leadership as well. And we look to the Lord for guidance every day. And we know that the Creator has, the path for us into the future. So let's hang on and just rely on God to get us through these trying times. But of course, there are instructions, right, from leaders, because leaders are put in place by the Creator. And every Tuesdays and Thursdays, we have these update meetings, COVID-19. So thank you, Viola, from Many Farms, for viewing. There are hundreds, close to 400 now, viewers, and Gloria from Phoenix watching tonight. Mariano, Marino, watching from Grandma's house. So tell Grandma I said hi. Ruby from Gallup, and Vanjie from Rock Point, and Fernando from Sawmill. We were in Sawmill yesterday evening. close to 200 families we assisted yesterday. Small community at Sawmill, food and supply distributions tomorrow. We will be out. We don't have a schedule yet, but listen in. We do get a big turnout, even just from social media. So I'm going to go into English and then I'll translate into Navajo. Usually I start Navajo then English, but I'll reverse it today. Jonathan Nez, Salt Clan, Tango people are my dads. Twedichini are my Chays, and Kachini my Nollies. So yeah, let's put up the first slide there, Eli. Thank you again, Eli, for helping us today with the town hall. So the first slide gives you an overview and the update of the cases. Total cases here on the Navajo Nation, 12,195. And that's from the start, right? The start. So many of these individuals have recovered and they've healed from the virus. Now, there's a perception out there that when people do recover, and that's it. But let me just say that there are some who went through this virus that are still having some adverse effect from the virus. Some even say some are long-term, not to scare you, but long-term effects. Breathing, maybe a heart condition, and maybe even in the lungs and all, headaches, rash, those things. I just want you to know there's a perception out there that, you catch the virus in 14 days, you're 100% again. But there are some people that are not 100%, even after 14 weeks of recovery. 7,627 have recovered from COVID-19. So overall, 128,913 have been tested. That's over 50% of our total population, those of us that live here on the Navajo Nation. Total confirmed deaths, 588, and that's been increasing. So you see there, it says new deaths reported 2 in 24 hours. So let's continue to pray for those families that have lost loved ones. And then it also gives you the breakdown of service areas. There are confirmed cases. You can take a look at that on your leisure. You can rewind the Facebook video. Next slide there shows the progression of the virus since it started here on the Navajo Nation. March 20th and in mid-March, we had the virus come into the Navajo Nation. As you can see, it rose and it peaked in early May, mid-May. And then it started to progress because of those stringent health orders. People say those lockdowns don't work and masks don't work, but Navajo has shown that these stringent public health orders have helped reduce the numbers. But it's up to us, right? We have to follow through and not let down. And you can see the progression go down all the way. And then we even had early September there, where we had one day, 24 hours with 0 cases of COVID-19. And then from that point, we see a progression. September, October, we're right now in November, and it's starting to rise again. And so, be on your toes, be aware of your surrounding out there, ladies and gentlemen. It's hot everywhere. When I say hot, means uncontrollable spread. Now, all around the Navajo Nation, over 40 plus states have some large increases in COVID-19 cases. Next slide, please. This shows a breakdown of the hot areas or the uncontrollable spread. You probably saw some community listings on our Facebook page or in the press release that shows hot spots on the Navajo Nation. This is what you ask for, ladies and gentlemen. The public has asked for where these places are so you can be on guard. Look at through the Navajo Nation. You got on track to control spread. It's the green, low numbers. Based on the green and the red, you know, we are still pretty low. And I'll show you that next, I'll show you the slide in a bit. But the yellow means slow and steady spread. The orange is rapid spread. And of course, the red is the uncontrollable spread. Those are places that we need to, you know, be careful of in those communities. And then the next slide there shows, again, the progression. But this slide here shows that things that we didn't know when the virus came onto the Navajo Nation. Because this is a new virus, we didn't know what, you know, how to handle it. But as we started learning throughout the months, there have been a lot of lessons learned. And you can see from the start, a big spike. And in early May, mid-May, that was the peak of the cases. There was a slight Memorial Day uptick, as you can see the arrow that says Memorial Day, but nothing concerning because we had lockdowns and we had everybody listening to public health experts. At that time, it was unknown, so there was some fear. There was a fear factor, and then I think that helped keep everybody, you know, at home. July 4th, same thing. We did a lockdown. You could see just a little bit of flattening, but not too, didn't go up. And we started going down. Labor Day, I think that's about the time where not just Navajo, but all across the country, people kind of let up. People were traveling, were going to hot spots, and look at after Labor Day, it started to go up, that Labor Day uptick. And it hasn't gone down since. And we're headed into the second wave here on the Navajo Nation. Some of you are probably saying, whoa, wait, President, the country is going through 3 waves now, the third wave. Why is Navajo going to second wave? Because you did an outstanding job, ladies and gentlemen, wearing masks, social distancing, to where we didn't have one of the waves that America did. But we let down. I think we really let down, guys. If you go to the next slide, it'll show you the comparison. I know there's a lot of stuff on this slide here, but if you look at that orange line there, that's the Navajo Nation line. The orange line is the Navajo Nation. Now that blue-black line is the United States of America, all across the country. Now you can see when early May, we got hit hard. We went above and beyond the United States numbers. Way up there in mid-May. Well, that first hump is the first wave in America. And the second wave was right around July 4th. But we kept going down, 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 down. And now you can see the third wave. And then for us, the second wave going up. If you look at the trajectory, meaning the position, how it's increasing at an angle, it's almost the same as what's happening in America. So that's concerning for us here on the Navajo Nation. If we do not take this seriously, look at the orange line there. We haven't get above and beyond the first wave on the Navajo Nation yet. But look at America, the black line. The third wave there at the end of all the way to the right hand, you can see the peak has outdone the second wave. So it's on track to breaking many records here on the United States, I'm sorry. But Navajo, you can see we're still below it. But the trajectory that we see now going up is similar to the United States. And that is why we are putting some more curfews in place. But one of the things that I want to mention, and this is with the guidance from Vice President and the economic recovery team that he chairs, is that let us reopen some of these businesses here on Navajo for essential purchases. So that means businesses that sell food, businesses that we need. I know there's a lot of workers that work from Monday through Friday that don't have time during the weekday to get food or other supplies. And you know, ladies and gentlemen, that our supermarkets, how many of you have been to bashes here on the Navajo Nation lately? They're not just going to let you in, huh? They're going to take your temperature before you come in, and they're going to give you a hand sanitizer, or there's going to be a hand washing station nearby. They got alcohol wipes, and they limit the people that go into the stores, and they clean. Now, those of you, I know some of you, come on now, have left the Navajo Nation. Walmart, Sam's Club, border towns. Maybe you went further out away from the Navajo Nation. You know what, ladies and gentlemen? They don't do what we're doing here on Navajo. They don't check your temperature. They don't give you hand sanitizers or anything like that. They don't even, some don't even limit people into their shopping centers. And so here on Navajo, you know that if you go to a business, it's the safest place to be here on our nation. So from 7 a.m. during the 56-hour curfew, 7 a.m. Saturday and Sunday, 7 a.m. to 3 p.m., grocery stores on the Navajo Nation will be open. Now, when we say open, don't take your entire family over there. 1, 2 people at a time. When I say 2 people, that means maybe grandma needs somebody to help, or somebody disabled needs someone to translate for them. Get your essentials, and that's it. Get in and get out. Get back home as quick as you can. Gas stations will be open. We're mandating gas stations to wipe down, hand washing stations and all that. Laundromats will be also open because that is an essential service, and it will be regulated as well to so many people. Restaurants and eating establishments will be open, but they're all curbside. So fast foods, you know, they're open, they're safe. In our eyes, they do their best to keep everything clean. So they'll be open from 7 a.m. to 3 p.m. So that way we encourage the Navajo people to stay here on Navajo. The new campaign that we have is stay local, stay safe. That means stay on Navajo, and with all the businesses that have some very strict criterias to abide by to keep the spread down, it's a lot safer here on the Navajo Nation. So these businesses will ensure social distancing. They will disinfect and thoroughly clean retail stores. They will make sure people are wearing masks. They will also have hand washing stations, sanitizers or gloves. And they will limit the number of customers. And the restaurants, again, curbside or drive-through. So ladies and gentlemen, there shouldn't be any excuse. I don't want to hear people saying, well, we're going to go to, because of the lockdown, we're going to the border towns. Because there's been a lot of people that brought that up to our attention, is that people are leaving the nation because of the lockdown. So we're doing something a little differently, and we need your help, ladies and gentlemen. Let's stay here on Navajo. Stay local. Stay safe. Stay on the Navajo Nation. Utilize our businesses, and you'll be safe. Next slide. That shows the neighboring jurisdictions. So you can see we're uncontrolled spread, red all around, 4 states, including the Navajo Nation now. Remember, we used to be yellow in the midst of all that red. Now it's the same. And that's why we want to stay here. The other thing I want to mention is, if you leave the Navajo Nation, since testing is free, you don't even have to put money on it. If you leave the nation, you got to self-quarantine and you got to take a test. And if you live off the Navajo Nation, the best thing to do is just please stay at your home off the nation. Please. But if you do, you got to self-quarantine, not associate yourself with family, because right now, contact tracers have said that family gatherings, and we keep saying this, family. I think it's because we think of our family as, my aunt is not going to have the virus. She looks well. But a lot of people are asymptomatic. Or we say, oh, well, we know that he didn't leave or she didn't leave the Navajo Nation, but we don't know. And so that's why if you visiting your relatives on Navajo, you got to self-quarantine and take a test. And I know someone's going to say, how are you going to regulate that? That's where you, Navajo people, have got to help and help regulate us to bring these numbers down. The trajectory that I showed you is concerning. But we have the ability to bring that number, flatten it out, and bring it down. So the next slide there shows, look at that now. Remember, we've been showing this graph where Navajo is. Navajo is the yellow. The bottom one, the smaller red line, is Arizona. This is the next slide that shows the last 7 days COVID rate of the states around us. The first one is Arizona. Colorado is the next one. New Mexico, and then the yellow there is Navajo Nation, and we're just two behind to the state of Utah. Next slide shows the 4 states, including the Navajo Nation. You know, back then we showed that yellow was New Mexico and Navajo Nation because we have mandated wear masks. I think we're letting down. People are tired of the pandemic, tired of COVID-19. We all are. But ladies and gentlemen, we don't have a vaccine. We don't have a cure. So we just got to continue to be strong, to be resilient, and to follow the public health professionals' recommendations. And you can read that. Those are a lot of information. But we're all going up, all the states all around us. Now, the next slide, I just wanted to remind you, that's the start from day 1 to today. And keep that in mind as you're out there and talking to your relatives. This slide here, this next slide, shows the progression of COVID-19 in our communities. This is the daily confirmed cases on Navajo Nation. And the last slide, this is the same slide I showed you. Take a look at this slide, ladies and gentlemen. I know we can flatten the second wave that's happening on the Navajo Nation, and we've done that. We've done it before. And look at America right now. America is the black line. They're on their 3rd wave. And that what they're going through right now has surpassed their 2nd wave numbers, breaking world record numbers. Our record high numbers was back in May. That brown line, that's Navajo Nation. That's the first wave that we went through. We're going through the second wave now. Towards the end of this slide on the right-hand side, it has not surpassed our record. And let's keep it that way, ladies and gentlemen. Let's work together to flatten that curve. Stay on Navajo. Businesses are going to be open for a certain duration to keep people here. If you don't need to go to the store, don't go to the store. Of course, there's essential work that needs to be done, essential employees out there. Farmers, you are able to do what you need to do, but you got to follow the criteria. People with livestock, grazing permit holders, you can do your livestock. You just got to follow the protocols. Wood haulers, same thing. And if you get caught, if you get stopped, show those documents to our law enforcement individuals. So this new public health emergency order will be for the next 2 weeks, November 6th through the 9th, and then November 13th through the 16th. And that's going to help us with this uncontrolled spread here on the Navajo. So stay local and stay safe here on the Navajo Nation. Also, in the public health order, we say to refrain, don't gather with individuals from outside your immediate household. Please. That's where the spread's happening. Social gatherings, family gatherings, birthday parties, dinners. I said this before. We all love to eat at our gatherings, and we do. And what's the first thing that we're all going to do when we're eating at the same time? We're going to take off our mask, right? And when we take off our mask, we're more susceptible to the virus. And then essential employees will be out, essential businesses will be, I mentioned that. And so that is, and we're also encouraging, and it's up to you, but we are encouraging people to get their flu shot, their flu vaccination. And there's, we'll provide, we do have the flu vaccination schedule on our website. We'll update that and we'll put it back on, let you know where there's flu shots being given. Also testing. So those of you that I said that are leaving the nation that need to get tested, go to these testing sites and make sure. If you leave the Navajo Nation, put yourself in self-quarantine until you get a test, until you find out you're negative. And then you can start socializing and being with your immediate family. Visitors, we're telling, and family members that live off the Navajo Nation, now's not the time to come home, please. If you do come home, don't associate with your family members. If you need to go get wood for your family, go get the wood, drop it off, and then, go home. Don't be in direct proximity of family members. And we say this with all due respect. I know we're family, we're all one, and we all want to help each other, but we just don't want grandma, grandpa to get the virus. Look, today, I'm sorry to say, 2 people lost their lives in 24 hours today. And we need to keep that number down to nothing if we can. And it's protect our most vulnerable population. So I'm going to transition into this last slide, and then I'm going to give the time over to Vice President. The last slide we have is just to let you know that the CARES Fund Hardship Assistance Program, we have Robert Willie from the Office of the Controller that's going to be giving us an update after the Vice President. But I want you all to know, I know there was some computer glitches. Is that fair to say, Rob? Something like that? It's not a crash, I heard. Somebody told me it's not a crash, but some say different. But a glitch. And that's why this whole week we're going to be out, once again, helping the Office of the Controller for paper applications to be filled out. So these are the places that we'll be at, and it ends Friday tomorrow. And we were talking about this. We had updates on this all throughout the week. So tomorrow will be the last day for actual I shouldn't say face-to-face, actual assistance if you need it by our Navajo staff. And these are the places where people that are fluent in Navajo will be at to help you, to help the elders, help the disabled get their application in. And then once next week comes, it's going to be all internet-based into the web portal. And I know that many of you have submitted, and there's also some questions. And I just been referring them over to the Office of the Controller because I don't know the how the portal is set up. So I just forwarded over to the Controller's office on some of the questions that you have. There's a company that's overseeing it, and Rob will tell you about those partners that are helping out in the process. So these are the places where people will be assisted tomorrow. Tomorrow's the last day for paper applications to be filled out. And then it'll be web-based. And we'll come back together and reconvene. There might be still some applications available come Sunday. We may just issue those out to the chapters, and chapters can help get those applications filled out. So thank you. I was going to say I was going to go into Navajo, but Governor Linigi Edo Otabanamish and Aro Kujuda Soleto Soleha Zoja Hosdoha Zoja Nike Kodo Eya Astan Nakitsata the Milia Jidoma Aslan is a Tindoma Nasta Tindoma Schlatnelt Eko Niki Niki Nabda Dolna Ya Isnia that or D change Aro each das Kregi Eya Sebi the Milias Doba Hastan as the Tindoma Nahas nothing Sebi Sostidia nothing Sostit in El Econi any na each das according Sadan Tiza Dutch Leho beaches dog Gato Teddy Nasniki a condet la Koni Kenny na Yayadastio dan and the Oyoshi is which are now done, check the street that done. She will with Jade Stolly, Yard Yate, Yate, and the Oyobijan does tea. So Cloud and Nigi, Ayat and Jetle, Sashio that end Saya and the con with East Bijan does tea or Ebinina, a dada was here. Aro Koni Kenny now it's not all that just then get Ishla there's nothing. Doba Sebetin Doba Sepi. Yeah. 588 Ashla there's nothing Doba Sebetin Doba Sepi in El Econ. Kenny and now it's that just then. Ishi Batsu Zendo left or Kudobe Daily left. Aro Kadoshim which had Dahilnet or less. Holland Edo Asiant Arochim Patsudis and all that. Beachly cowed Anilsko Ado Con Nasnigido the more years ago, the more gonna Ahogan and Dasota the Dine. A condesashin Dasnesh. The more bis condon lane the initiative. So the more you're gonna do, the more gonna being go so well kill being go only Sina Arabic kitchen car or kill a yadi naliaba and that edo a conte the Asadona kida a kunta creashode a ishi the no singi a ede ya ndahosni aro tsinso chudoka aro dido chirbe thon dahi bin dahi khajido ai aj naliaba wando ada tedo beni nagi ai a khon de nebikeya pokaoti ni naliaba wan chudas a shwod tadi no aro o belagan bikeya ko ndakhe a shwod Jadi yego na nito tedes kidigi beni na tadi ne do chiyan da adaj do a da edon de do les a konde should be in the house ban be in the house so tago age yan kudal na do les in the house ni do le aro di kujido da kisish de ya di da laundry mat jazz aja edo art edo les a konde ashi the quig or she ba that edo les hota jodishni ta beni nagi a kond nebikeya pakao da khe jo kond des kagi dan kon khas chini kedan linigi label gan bikeya den da khego that dol now is not zago Skiffer dat dol was out I kond the kosen skagi ne nasning lebeni na e a kon din alia chudas na dia ba wan chudas shkiro shino Allah ba hasin the tashni bil gani kitchen is kada hanzan ikodoshi sha khada hasna tole jo la kodo Robert Willie do Dr. Jim Dr. Fowler e lampa kodo yada hadol na hote maybe na atskil hode shli kodoshi ya shna ba hosh atole Vice President Myron Lizer e shindo kodo hanne Behlondo aro Dyson neligi hela ina nishida jo andi e da yostkaya le ishin bit da na skada jobans and the fela da has not only kilka has ana Washington naha larger that not $1,000 so ina nishida tagi hela e khut kon hina tani banda I sto thanas na dando kuj was do how so le how so yo to how so on they Washington jina tani nakhan yada skege ot ya banda I so here lanzo o ken hidini do les kudo hanen ki chikodalia aro deno chegido here na jo kudo sa ki chikodalia aro chianta ni do aro haida not so standa ni hatna edo could became so zone what hinan shidasla ba ken ni sinjodina gibe benina what ya behz anido sadan hichikodalia so ba ken ni but no I just wanted to conclude and some of you I know are English and Navajo speakers. I know I just made a little bit of Navajo, but due to time, those of you that are English speakers that do know Navajo, please translate that to our Navajo grandmas and our grandpas and our nullies. And, we just want you all to be safe. We care for you. We love you. We want you to live a long life, but we also have to listen to authority, listen to our parents, our grandparents, those in positions of leadership, because God put those individuals in those seats. And let's come back full circle to where we respect authority. And it goes a long way. And I know many of us on the Navajo Nation do that, and we appreciate the support. And those others, we can learn from our mistakes, and from this point on, we can do better. God bless you. God bless our great Navajo Nation. Vice President, are you ready to go? I'll turn the time back over to the Vice President. And you're not on the video yet, VP, so he'll push that button, and we're ready to go. So God bless you. Here's our Vice President, Myron Lizer. Ladies and gentlemen, take it away.
All righty. Thank you, Mr. President. Appreciate it. Thank you. It is a good day. We do hear the numbers are going up, and our health professionals, our EPI team, our Department of Health we're all on it. And so this is actually, as President mentioned, a new thought, a new way of protecting our people. It is opening our businesses on the weekends, but it keeps them from traveling great distances, and in a car full of their whole family, perhaps saving them from exposing themselves out in the border towns, out in the big cities, the metropolitan areas. And so, definitely a new thought, but also a way of preserving our economy here on the nation. And so, I'll talk to and address a little bit of that. So, I thank Mr. President for his leadership, and we are looking forward to doing things a little bit differently, but still, I think we feel like we're being very protective of our people, our citizens, and it'll be the first time we do that. And some of you remember back in June, the NBA had created their bubble. They called it a bubble, and so seemingly, this, if you can imagine what is over our nation, is kind of a bubble. If our people don't travel out, and we speak to our family members in the big city, the metropolitan areas, those that work off the reservation, they come home, potentially bring in the virus too. If we can just seize the moment, if you will, a moment in time, a snapshot in time for our nation and our people to stay local. The bubble, we have the bubble, and so there's nobody leaving, nobody entering, and we're staying local in our communities. We're still consumers, right? We consume elsewhere, and so I understand, and we all know that we may close down for the weekend. All the businesses close. There's crickets out there in our communities, but we have a large contingent of our people leaving the reservation on the weekends and going to buy supplies, or if they don't do that, they do stay home on weekends. They're going out on Monday and Friday, large numbers. You hear it on the highways. It's just that it feels like we're next to a freeway. So we want to slow that freeway down, basically, keep our people local. Let's open up our grocery stores, abbreviated schedule, one shift, 7 a.m. to 3 p.m., right? Or, the hardware store, 8 p.m. to 3 p.m., but still essential. It was said earlier that the hardware stores, and if you sell food, if you sell PPEs, personal protection equipment, and you sell cleaning supplies, then you will be allowed to open. And so hardware stores are certainly that. But we just want our people to stay local, don't travel outside of the communities for your supplies, groceries, and the like. We do have hay vendors here. We have the food restaurants here, eateries, curbside pickup, all those, everything you see in the larger cities. It's just that we stay local. And, the great thing about that is we help our economy. The tax dollars generated on our nation stays on our nation. And you've heard me talk about it from time to time. It's 6% stays on the nation. 2% of that for junk food, and 1% of that junk food that goes to the purchase of emergency and first responder vehicles and the like, and equipment for our emergency department. So we appreciate them. Recently, 4 months ago, I can't remember what it was, we unveiled 8 new fire trucks and then an EMT first responder unit. So it was beautiful. But yet you all helped make that happen by your purchases here. And so can you imagine if we all did it more often and we were committed to it, how much more we could help our communities? We'd see more fire stations in our communities, more first responder type EMTs that are out there. And so certainly right now we do have a need for EMTs. And just for this sake, because of this COVID pandemic, we have a real great need for nurses. Those of you who are out there thinking of a career, you're young in age, think of it being a nurse right now. The medical field, those are being extremely taxed right now. They're been inundated, as you can imagine, our hospitals, and we really need nurses. So I'm sure there'll be scholarships made available for them. And for those of you who are there, right, please pursue that field as much needed right now. And so I know we're trying to recruit nurses to the Navajo Nation, but we know we won't be able to make a change until 4 to 5, 6 years down the road. So we must start now. Just like in our economy, we must start now to make a change that's going to be lasting and enhancing the quality of life here on our Navajo Nation. So We appreciate our president's leadership in that. So you've heard uncontrollable spread, right? And so when you do hear that, please, not to be fearful, not to be, afraid. It's basically just doing what we've always done. Those of you who haven't, got the virus, maintain. We continue to do what we've done. Wear our mask. We social distance. We don't go out to the areas we don't know the crowds and where they've been and stuff like that. So we just need to be very knowledgeable of our surroundings. And then we also want to lift up our nation, not only our Navajo nation, but our United States, right, for this time. The election just happened 4 days ago, and they're still trying to dig out, count the ballots, and whatnot. So prayers for our nation that we're unified. We did challenge you a couple town halls ago that whoever's president, that we all need to come back and work together as fervently and as hard fought as it was. We all need to come back together and have a plan to go forward and provide great, governments for our people, great leadership for our people, no matter who's in charge. And so we do pray for our president. Our Creator, God, has the heart of the president in His hand, and He steers it every which way He wishes it to go. And it is Him, our Creator, that lifts up men and women into leadership positions, and He's responsible for placing leaders that we have here. So, prayers for that, and it's pray for the Lord's will be done on earth as it is in heaven. And so we know when we line up with Him and His will that we'll get what we deserve. And so it just takes a nation of faith to believe that. And so it is really that simple. Pray prayers that line up with our Heavenly Father's prayers and His will. So, Lord, your will be done on earth as it is in heaven. So I've been saying that for years. And, when you say those kinds of prayers, you line up with His will, and we just don't worry about the circumstances. We just go forward. Develops our faith, too. So a little quick study right there. So anyway, we do see the need for our nation to turn back to our Creator, right? He created us, put all these things around us, merely awaiting our recognition of it, all the blessings in our life, all the people in our life, our brothers and sisters. It's up to us to repair and maintain those relationships. And so that's really what this time on earth is about, is becoming the best human that we can be, and become lovers of other people, right? Consider ourselves less than we ought to. Basically, the golden rule, right? Do unto others as you would have them do unto you. You line up with those wills, you're blessed. You line up with those at the will of God. Yeah, He loved His creation and His people. So anyway, I could go on. You're gone to preaching now, Vice President. So, but really, we've always felt that we could open up and recover safely our economy, right? Stay local, don't travel outside of the communities. 1 to 2 people and vehicles, our president has always said. Get your essentials, right? I mean, just be planned and prudent there. Our gas stations will be open, laundromats. Please be careful as you frequent these establishments here on Navajo. Hardware stores, we mentioned that. Restaurants, curbside pickup. It'd be great to see some life in our communities on weekends, and just to know that when we buy again local, that we are disciplined enough that the tax dollars generated here stays here on Navajo. We don't give it to somebody else, never to see it again. That's really a concept that many need will see. Once we commit ourselves to this, and we've been saying it all along: buy Navajo, buy local. There was a comment I saw earlier that somebody was mentioning the prices on Navajo are so high, right? And that's true. There's some truth to that. It really takes a trained eye to see and notice that. As far as what it's going to take to change that, right? Do businesses lower their prices and entice more people to shop, or do the shoppers make the sacrifice of traveling abroad, saving themselves from potentially catching a virus elsewhere and bringing it home, right? Saving themselves from wear and tear on their vehicle, from spending money on gas, depending from Winterot. I think you'll spend anywhere from $6 to $8 for a round trip to our closest border town is Galveston, Georgia. $6 to $8. So you tack that onto the price of whatever good or services you have. Those of you and us who do that 30 to 40 times a year, that's $300 to $600, depending on if you buy Supreme gas, which is $2.69 a gallon, the lower grade fuel, which most of us buy, right, $2.29 a gallon. And so again, round trips, everything adds up, and wear and tear in your vehicle, time away from your family. We're asking people to leave the family at home, just one or two people in the vehicle. So right now, everything is just kind of lining up to develop new thoughts, new disciplines, new habits, right? Buy Navajo, buy local, support Navajo businesses. But to the point of prices being high on Navajo, I did speak on that one time before. We don't create anything here on Navajo. Our only creators here are the rug weavers and the basket makers, and the silversmiths, and all of our artisans here are proud, esteemed, very skillful, creative artisans here. That's the only things that we create. But until that time, such in the future, when we manufacture, when we put together work with our hands, and different things, we solder computer chipboards and the like we used to do back in the 70s and 80s, when we probably had a more thriving economy. But as things do, economies change. Maybe without a plan to bolster local shopping and enhance business here on Navajo, then you kind of lose those opportunities. So you heard me share a story when I was a child. My early years, I could go to anywhere, any one of a number of 14 different local establishments and spend my money, spend my parents' money, right? Mom, Dad, do you have $5? And you get $2, right? And so you go down to Mama Seals and go buy some grape soda or some Mountain Dew or some just yesteryear. Wow, yesteryear, so powerful. But back then I could go in 40 Finance and spend money in 14 different places. Now there's only 3, and I don't count the car wash, right? So 3 places. So things got to change here, and let's use this pandemic to learn good habits about shopping local, keeping our money here on Navajo, right? And then it will be the better for it. Our children definitely be the better for it here when we can provide a future for them. So real quick lesson, the prices here on Navajo are a little bit higher because we have no promise of exporting anything out. Delivery trucks don't bring the goods here and drop them off and then pick up something else and take it out somewhere else. That's when prices will be cheaper here on Navajo. Right now, the store owners that are here on Navajo, they pay the full price of that truck coming in, dropping the goods here, and then they take off empty. That's a sin. That's a sin for truck drivers to go back empty. And that's really the quickest economic lesson I could give us for why our prices here on Navajo are a little bit more expensive. But again, I laid it out for you. If you took the wear and tear of your vehicle, oil changes, tires, has anybody wondered why we don't have a tire shop here on Navajo? Just thinking, just a real question. But, someday we'll have tire shops and furniture stores and clothing stores and everything that we go to the border towns for. And if you would all join me, join President, join our families in shopping local more and more times. I don't know how many families we got now, 30,000, 25, 30,000 families in Navajo doing the same thing. Wow. Momentum, lots of tax dollars generated here on Navajo. Our Navajo Tax Commission Director, Martin Ashley, would have to hire hundreds of accountants and accounting technicians just to, take care of all the money that we would be saving here. And then there'd be opportunity for businesses to open up. Just like I said, appliance stores, furniture stores, clothing stores, Nike, N7s. How would you like to buy N7s here on Navajo? Well, that's the plan if we all just kind of buy in, chip in where we can. So back to the question, when I said, the only way prices can come down lower here on Navajo is if the store owners, the people that own the stores, lower their prices and entice people to stay home and match the prices on the off reservation, right? It won't work. The businesses will close. You look around, right? Our people don't shop our businesses, so they're all closed. So it's got to be something that kicks. It's got to resonate with our younger generation. this vice president is here to help bring more businesses to our nation, for our people, our children's children, and we'll have a future here. So we got to really, and we are having those meetings. President has made me the chairman of the Economic Recovery Work Group. Coming out of the COVID pandemic, right? It's opening stores, which this weekend we'll open some, and then we'll see how, our people can adhere to the protocols that are in place, and we don't have the spiking. And perhaps because we're not traveling so great in distances to the border towns and metropolitan areas, that and then getting potentially contract the virus and then bring it home, right? Maybe we're staying local. We've created that bubble that I was talking about, right? And we just kind of thriving in our own community here, protecting ourselves, because we're all kind of just like our families, right? You'll hear later, here real shortly here, I'm almost done. You'll hear real shortly here that, it's those large gatherings. Our family members come together, and some from the metropolitan areas, and we love them, man. We trust that they're doing and taking care of themselves, right? But they've been gone for 2 or 3 weeks, and then we see them again, and then we just, bring them in, and we eat, and we just do what we do. And all it takes is one. And so we understand that. And so we could just create the bubble here, and then do good here in our own protocols. I think we can really keep those numbers down, and would look, hopefully, prayerfully, in another 14 days that those numbers come down. No more numbers hovering in the hundreds, the low hundreds, right? Back down to where we're really comfortable, and but not get too comfortable. We can't slack, right? Numbers down around where we were seeing them before: 9, 10, 5, 4, right? And then 0, right? And no deaths. So that's really our goal and our aim. But we're all in this together, and we do have an economy in which to protect, and people are moving away. The businesses are closing down, never to open up again. We need to provide a future for our children. So again, we're in this together. Let's be safe as we open up this weekend, and stay local. Everybody stay home. Go shop your local store. Bear down, tongue in cheek on the little slightly higher prices. No, it's a sacrifice that we all will make. We all will provide a future for our children's children. We'll leave some extra, I guess, startup capital for them here in our nation's coffers. So anyway, I think I've gone on to rambling, but we appreciate you all, President and I. We've admired one another's leadership, and when I first started, I was holding on the president's coattails, and as he was the vice president, he traveled abroad. He went to all the meetings in D.C. and then whatnot. Now, me as the vice president, he stayed local, and I was doing all that. And so the pandemic's given me some time to stay and really focus in on, and we do have a plan. We have an economic plan. We bring jobs, to bring factories. We're having meetings with some real high level people, billionaires, who are talking. They want to help. They want to maybe some philanthropically help the Navajo Nation bring projects and spend money here. 1, 2, 3, 4 of them right now, and then some others want to start projects here, businesses here on Navajo. So it all sounds really good, but we need the help of our leadership here, our 24th Navajo Nation Council, our DOJ, and the Office of the President, Vice President. And so one by one, we'll work these projects going forward. And then we need also our OOC, and it's a good segue now. I see Robert Willie chomping at the bit over there. He's going to give you some of the hardship, I guess, scenario and the updates here on what's going on. So just wanted to encourage you, that's what an economy looks like. It's kind of boring, huh? Numbers, prices, stats, data, man, some of our people here on Navajo, the leadership, they know what to do with this data. And so as we mine that data, as we take it, look it, read it, study it, we come out with a plan. And so we have a plan. We look forward to continue to work this economic plan here and go forward to bring in more opportunity for our people, those entrepreneurs that are out there. And it starts with you all, simply just choosing to spend here local. So I just want to thank you again for this time. This has been a great update time for this pandemic. And remember, we can open up and recover safely. So Vice President here, signing out, Comanche Let's go, Hana, Bashis Chin. Ado Comanche Deshache, Clash Deshanali. It's good to be. it's good to have been with you here this evening on November 5th, and look forward to the next one very soon. So, ladies and gentlemen, without further ado, Mr. Robert Willie of our Office of the Controller is in queue here. So treat him well. Okay. Robert?
Thank you, Mr. Vice President, Mr. President, for those words, and it is important to stay safe out there now. My name is Robert Willie. For those of you that don't know who I am, I work for the Office of the Controller. I'm an accounting manager, and I'll be reporting on the Hardship program. The Hardship program started on October 26th with the hard copy applications, which were delivered to the chapters. I have a copy of it right here. And the online started this week on Monday. Our website, Navajo Nation Office of the Controller, www.nnooc.org. There's a link there, and this is kind of what it looks like. You click on that little button right there, and it'll take you to the portal. We encourage the online version. That way people stay safe. There's social distancing, but I know that some people wanted the paper applications. The paper applications were delivered to a number of chapters. Also, some of the division directors have taken it upon themselves to have those in their areas also. I believe the president had a list of those locations. The application process is going to take place all the way till the end of November. So you can mail in your applications or complete your online applications and have those submitted. It's not a first come, first served basis. We'll be looking at those applications, and I believe the elderly are the priority. There's the consideration of giving up to 1,500, and it's up to 1,500. It's not a set amount. And for the adults, and $500 for the minors. The paper applications can be dropped off at the locations where they were picked up. So the chapters, some of the division directors' locations, and also the Office of the Controller have a black box which those can be delivered to. I know the president indicated that they'll be assisting people in Navajo by tomorrow. But the application process will be continuing throughout this month. We have a network of vehicles that drive out to the chapters and deliver these. We're working with our consultant, Baker Tilly, and they're coordinating that effort. The paper applications will be scanned into the portal. And I know this week some people have had problems with CIB and entering into the portal. This is because the database of vital records had a certain data loss. Some of the census numbers were not uploaded, but we're working on that right now. There is a call number that you can call if you're having trouble. They'll take your information, and the number is 1-833-282-7248. And I'll repeat that again, 1-833-282-7248. That number is also on our webpage too. Also on our webpage, there are videos which go through the application process, the online process, and the paper process. We have one in English and one in Navajo also. What else? Let's see here. That support center, we also have an email address too. So if you can't reach anybody via that number, I know we opened up several other ports because the traffic that was coming through our system was a lot. So we opened up more lines. The email address is nncareshelp@nnooc.org. So that's NNCARESHELP@nnooc.org. And leave your contact information on there, and someone will be able to assist you. This week we processed more than 5,200 applications of 79,000 applicants. So the application process is working. If you have any questions, I guess you can also email that address too. I know that urban Navajos and others have been emailing that address. I've been outside helping assist also in the front of the administration building, answer questions, helping individuals and directing them. We have individuals there at the office that which also can help. We also have some paper applications there, but like I said, social distancing is one of the things that we try to enforce. We have a security guard there, which will also try to keep people separated and direct people to the table, which actually has the box on it. And that's all I've got for now. The call center is actually open from Monday through Friday, 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. On Saturdays, that call center is from 11 a.m. to 5 p.m. and on Sundays from 3 p.m. to 7 p.m. So I want to again emphasize that this is not a first come, first serve application process. We're taking applications. We'll take them all the way to November. Those applications will be reviewed and then entered into the portal, the hard copy versions. And we're anticipating the first checks to be going out in December. So that's all I have for now. So thank you, Mr. President, Mr. Vice President, and everybody out there in Facebook land.
Thank you, Mr. Willie, for that update. It's always good to hear about the reminders for the hardship assistance. So I just wanted to introduce myself. Shay, Dr. Jill Jimintiado, Executive Director in Shlika East Bahayan Jado, look on Shaltachini Bashishinda, Ishin Dashichedo, is a phone additional. I don't know this on the ice in a shadow. Clady, Annie, Dice not on he had non getting needle. Don't he not any president as the vice president Hijahazi, the Ada can't not be needle, dequa. The question saging on state at the Holiday at the North Nido, Clady, they go I'll kill. The Jishay Clady over 100 cases non so Ioba has the Clady Akwishi Quidishi behind dates and the Cladding Hitchington is there, but other the spaldo, Clady Anja on the Kedo at the harder Kindan than the Kego do on the Nishit and the what Ashin de do he got that headed on her and Kega to a dog what are the shield to in the Latonda Kisto Quad. Aquijin Quadi, high touch surface areas that any crab in the Aljoto Quadish at the Hinosan. What Ashin Quidishi Hand and Handate Zito behind dates or Ashi put another the needle. The Jishay Quadi, but the station the public health order emergency. I thought Behazi in the decrashing. I also saw she crab and not that station. Aquadi who wanted then die so do the essential services they've been the year I don't what on he not only had the basic Asian quality the costing tagging on state out Diego they got the dots and they go another dots killed up in the year. Do quality health advisory do Kushi Delia dot amounts of the idea that the 29 chapters out of 110 chapters based so I thought the question his better husband did the quadi Satoshi Bansita Kesto Lata Didot Kitladi that's the quadi chapter house that's the or community that's it they go Kisto they go not Kito the international and they quadi not so the health advisory is out there. So I just wanted to inform the listeners to just check on their website for Navajo Department of Health and also the press release to get that information as well. Although the only the PowerPoint nini so messaging Honganindo, Belaganic at the Shindaya Payego Hanadas that Olgeto, Krakia non Nido. Well, thank you this evening for those that are listening. I just don't want to repeat a lot of stuff that I know that President Vice President has said regarding the COVID-19 so far, and I just wanted to quickly reemphasize, and I think there's always no harm in reemphasizing the messaging. And sorry, you have to wear your mask every day and wear it properly. There's always the advice of making sure that you cover your nose and mouth, stay 6 feet apart, either indoors, outdoors, wherever you are, running your errands. So make sure you continue to do that, and washing your hands on a daily basis, and also cleaning areas that you consider high-touch surface areas. This could be in your vehicle, this could be at home, this could be your workspace. So there's always areas that you probably touch on a regular basis. And if you don't have this routine in place, it would be great to have some sort of routine to keep your area clean and disinfected. And it can simply just be with dish soap, and also any sort of bleach and water solution as well. There are also times when people might question, well, when can I be around someone that has recovered from COVID or has COVID? And there is usually a time period. All of these is very time-based, and always remember that individuals with underlying health conditions, just remember that it's very important to always consider your risk, or also keeping yourself safe, especially if you have diabetes, high blood pressure, cancer, or other health conditions that could impact individuals' ability to fully recover from COVID-19, or either may experience more difficulty with the disease rather than something more mild, because it really is dependent on age as well. So individuals that are younger could be asymptomatic as well. So if a person tests for COVID-19 and they have symptoms such as fever, nausea, there's also with little kids, there is a symptom that says COVID rash. And so those are some different symptoms that were discovered or explained early on. And so it's not like a typical flu. COVID has some different sort of respiratory flu-like illnesses, but also has a lot of long-term effects that you're going to see with COVID as well. So sometimes people will continue to have health issues neurologically with memory, or either physical impairments as well. So just to keep in mind, but immediately, if you want to know if you can be around somebody else, if you had symptoms, at least 10 days since symptoms have first appeared, at least 24 hours since last fever without use of fever-reducing medication, and symptoms have improved. So those are some clear recommendations so you can be around somebody else. Also, if you tested positive and you had no symptoms, and this is what we refer to as asymptomatic, and just to recognize that you will have no symptoms like fever or headache or anything, or muscle aches or body aches or some symptoms, and someone can easily be just walking around and with no symptoms, and that's usually in our younger population. So it's very important to have people tested if there's an exposure in a household. Even though the individual is not showing symptoms, at least we know that to the extent of a outbreak in a family or in a community, also that the person can be around others 10 days have passed since test and also continue to have no symptoms. And there's always the question of when someone is considered a close contact with someone that tested positive. And it's important to quarantine for 14 days, as President mentioned. Now that we're recommending quarantine and isolating when people go off the reservation, and this is the same guidelines for individuals that may have had contact with someone that was positive. And so it doesn't mean you cut short your days when you're quarantining, like 6 days, 4 days, 2 days, and you're like, nothing's wrong with me. Most of these cases, symptoms will appear between 2 to 14 days. You could have symptoms appear till 10 days, 11 days, 12 days, 13 days, or 14 days. So that's the timeline and incubation period before anything can come about and where you can see symptoms. So it's very important to know that if you have been exposed to someone that's positive, make sure you document and journal the date or time of exposure. Also, as we continue to look at COVID-19, the spread of COVID-19 across the Navajo Nation is across various communities and areas now. It's not in only one area, so it's very important that if you go to work, wherever you work, it's very important to follow these safety precautions, as the Navajo Nation is also experiencing more calls regarding workplace exposures. And so when you are sick, please understand that you have to stay home when you are sick. Even if you are coughing or you don't know if it's related to allergies or the flu, please know that if you are showing signs of flu-like symptoms, that you should not go to work at all, and you need to monitor your health even if you are experiencing sickness or if you were considered a close contact. And so these workplace exposures, there could be some clusters or office outbreaks that can happen if you don't follow these recommendations. And so if a person does come to work sick and is symptomatic, whatever that person, whoever they talk to, very in a close setting, if they don't practice good hygiene and they touch the doorknobs and other things, and if there's no cleaning practices in the workplace, the risk of exposure can be really high, especially if people do not wear their mask indoors. So it's very important that if you don't have that policy in place, please review the CDC guidelines with your employers on making that part of your recommended practices in your workplace. Also wear a cloth face covering as well. If you don't have cloth face coverings for employees, you can always call the command center and request for some face coverings or disposable masks. We do have donations that we continue to work with Division of Economic Development to deliver those items. So if you need a mask for your workplace, you can call the command center at 928-871-7014. Also continue to practice social distance in shared spaces as well. There's always the intention that there isn't sharing of space. You should have you can tape off areas or put caution signs. There's many places that you can do alternate workspace changes. If you're not able to do that, work with your employer to do staggered schedules or other alternative work schedules to reduce any kind of physical distancing in spaces. If it's not feasible, continue to wear your face mask at all times, and also or a face shield is appropriate as well. Wash your hands with soap and water often as well in your workspace. If you don't have a hand sanitizer available on your desk or near you, you can always wash your hands as an alternative every now and then as well. Also, hopefully you're not going to work when you are coughing or sneezing, but if you do, that's not recommended to go to work if you are coughing or sneezing. Also, avoid sharing objects and equipment. So in a workplace area, you might have conference rooms or either areas where you have your clients sit, or either you might have a kitchen area. So those items can regularly be disinfected, and if you do share them, make sure you disinfect them as often as possible. In our area of work, we try to encourage everyone to clean their workspace every 2 hours. So making that available for employees to clean their workspace is very important. So if you do these proper processes at work that I'm mentioning, you're doing a very good job at reducing workplace exposures. Also, having a hand sanitizer for your clients or customers as well as employees is also highly recommended, as those are ways to reduce the transmission of the virus by killing the germs. Also avoid having visitors at the workplace if you don't have to. So always find alternative solutions to either use a virtual meeting or other avenues to limit visitors, as we don't know where their exposure has been. But if you require all people to wear a mask and also report that they're not showing any symptoms based on the CDC checklist or either the temperature checks, I think those are good ways to reduce any sort of transmission. So stay safe. So for the Navajo Nation, if you're not aware, we do have a reporting and exposure at a place of business. So any places of business, as this is an anonymous, or either you can identify if you're reporting a positive case. So under the Department of Health webpage, you'll see a report exposure button in red. So click on that and you'll basically just only provide your name and phone number and where the exposure is, and the case manager should contact you and ask for questions. Mainly is to validate if the exposure is very current, and also to navigate making sure that employees are safe, they get tested, and they're put into quarantine or isolation. So it's very important that anyone can report this way to make sure that that individuals get the help that they need. And so some high-risk places of business are included on there, like food establishments, schools, tribal programs can be reported. Staff can report this, a healthcare provider. Anyone can report this information if they know of an exposure at a place of business. And so just know that's available, and we do have case managers that can help. And then what we do is we work with the health facilities to make sure people get tested and they get quarantined or isolated as properly as possible. Also, in the coming days, as President mentioned, we're still opening people to gas up and also go to the grocery store. So as a reminder, always wear gloves or use disinfectant wipes when you're handling any product or any areas of the gas pump, such as buttons or handles. Also limit using cash as much as possible. Clean and disinfect main items from the gas station. After fueling, dispose your gloves and also wash your hands. So just as a reminder that everything is related to hygiene. The more you wash your hand and also keep your hands clean and your vehicle clean while you travel is the best way to prevent transmission of any community spread. Also, the laundromats will be open, so just make sure, and there are cleaning and disinfectant of laundry tables, carts, machines are also appropriate in those settings. So if you have to remind the laundromat owners or workers to do that, that would be helpful as a customer. Wash your hands after you handle dirty clothes as well. And also, if you're washing any clothes for someone with coronavirus, wear disposable gloves. Don't shake dirty laundry. Use the warmest wash cycle to kill the germs. Also use a dryer or hang your clothes in direct sunlight until dry. Stay 6 feet away from others. And also, if you are doing your laundry, it's probably not encouraged to have lots of people go to the laundromat with you. For example, like anything over 3 people, at least 3 or more people is probably a little bit too much to do laundry. So just make sure you limit the number of individuals grocery shopping, going to the store this weekend as you conduct your essential services, as we mentioned. And then another thing is to avoid any gathering, just because there people will have access to also conduct any essential services. Doesn't mean that flea markets should pop up in the middle of the road or other sorts of services like churches or also ceremonies or large ceremonies or celebrations, drive-in things. Those are not permitted at this point with any drive-in gatherings. So any gatherings is recommended that only in your immediate household maintain communication for the next 2 weeks. I think that will put a dent in the numbers, because gatherings are our number one and primary way of transmitting disease on the Navajo Nation. Family gatherings, from birthday parties to first laugh parties to either work related gatherings have been reported as well. So just understand that any sort of gathering is limited to only your immediate household members, and make sure you continue to wash your hands, frequently disinfect, and also discouraging handshaking and hugs. We did hear during everyone is commended for following the public health order as much as possible during voting day and other areas with the hardship applications, but we did get reports there were people that were not compliant. They were not wearing their masks. They were congregating in front of the chapter house. Those are things that we caution. So any sort of gathering more than 5 people is very prohibited in that way because of the transmission, especially if people are not wearing their mask as well. So avoid sharing food, and also celebrate with your phone or video call as well. So those are just some reminders of basic prevention that we continue to talk about. I know that Dr. Fowler always has a lot to say in preventing COVID-19. So thank you for all the listeners, and I'm going to hand my time over to Dr. Fowler now. So good evening, Dr. Fowler.
Oh, yeah, it's Adoni Kadosh Edo Shidene. Shady my deshgijnin shlon todicini bashichin. Adot asche eya dashnalito trapa etasche. Adot trotus aholiere ade yis nasha. Quande koditagaha zande shana nishnat e. Ko ba hensen. Do hehet nidini do le. Shnat nasleni. Stille Mr. President. Ado Shiyaj Vice President. Adon Hishandash Nashi Division Director Danosheni, Ado Kadoshiyaj Anita, Mr. Willie Behinzi, Ado Shiyaj Eli Kadohashin Sukon Hikananlo, Na Al Kidido and hit the Nebich when any Iha, or you Iha Bijdon Netlana, or Quande, Nihilhot, Ehige Edo, by here needs in the Shikasha the Ne. I need the quest, and Sai Nasni. Ako late on his adult Dr. Winson, when the Aniki needs out a yashik edo shidne. Ado hashi no la, Nahan dash neshida no slidon dash nesh, a large than Nadan he nesto hashin soko, a ya, and hitch on so zedo saton hitch on ba. Sala no slinido, it's easy de jai ado as an agent dash neshi. Kashi no slashi o yugo benakande kodo to the zen leni kon date ito ben khahlia ado amato je juloshi ito yego na insnadon to each case late asha chinito bedol natazenzo ado di kwahashin tsokon khachinidan leni aho wado o yu daltka Ashi inni hashin soka amato jeni klini amasane etsheda do yego be I nita nakhalchin oltkhai ahashin soka ye nan hidil kinde o yo satan hisn tahosla nakhalchin ako nisa ye eta hasen chik edo shidne ba ye nitzen do sago ohidos alto nasko oltkha Nede do leton or traton an spi yisi belik eton yeto banitzen ratchinen lini kon the wellebe dat ido hajon da benot kindo hajo bichi adat kin ratchinen lini blakana nila. One of the most important job is being a parent dan nila ashi ini dan ratchen holon shi yegon se il keso at konde hajo be ba khwlia Ado di hashin tsoko na khandal nishi kinaz ango edo ba heta no sendo heta bedo ne bedo alaje na khanda ba do hashin tsoko sa do ya ado biche inta nelle hashin tsoko kompeto jobanzo kedendal nesto ayen soit na khatel nish le kon ajiyan da hani hota edo ba heta nesi Ado hashin tsogoti kon ani isnel poll workers dan hito nini hito ohe Kashino slant nicht den Nebesaden, Lini be Katahofna, Eba Jensen, Ado Stra Ketes es Dichenauda, Juno Dohon Hitchintan, Hinita that es Palo, Ntashosnish, Edo Hehe, Ado Hashino Slanche Tahonos Nado, Nakatahones Nande, Joeshin Bebe, Enit, Edo Be Nasco Nandi, Katole, Junoshin. That il nito that or sleep the house nani ado di the cosi nas nihia ni ati ze pa attenchik edo shedne ashin sagati balakana bezado the nebezad chibeya de tke ado hashin sagatil cage cane lini ati yita house ako ado pahanta hayos khale jo khut an hizat Kashine lago ati tahos atob ni pesentant ante joho wade eben that nitkin amato ni tlini amasan etche amayajta jo nihin khanastla yitetan la o kohashin saga eslati ashan yen hitchahat se ado opa that nitlo ado on na koyil ko jo ben da benatkin chikedo shidene Ako ado di de kosnat nehi bits an hi ini tau bits in de baho ni etan nehi la khata kis ado na ho haslagon da ka ni chidon hini an hize betatat es balon da khaitan hitne khashine lati disposable mastic ne la agent ada na khat na ke he kita chjohi ado na hot ize Be which do leave the ben jaga da kithat and if cut the isha and lay plati hatat hazet or cheap that is bala at naji tanzi kisotal toshik edo shidne jo an hibe ta ahosia ado haslago ado na khaitan hitne edo ani tan hitne shik edo shidne etsen winosen Khalati balakanik echo asymptomatic isne khayda te khayraho khaten shi qasa to bahzanda lekin khahota khati yagata panesh jido ho wade yenatza to bahzanda yesna gahi to toitida akhohatel khosata o edat Edat it bahnesh jido da yesna za khoj enad pos nahi abahasti ebinina adosh da khay itse qayda da khayra ne don chinta tes balanze da tes bala o dadel khatri den sha ilan yen yahol ye ado yego da khay itse ne winos sinjotan hitne Ado hashin sagati behes ani khata del naiki khata del naik nido khato nihinat ahan lenido chiche zel age aj ye nat ani tsalate nat ani dan leni ade behes ani khata del khata del ti zeish energy ye go ye ta ani aj ye go pata ini glen he Kala nihi sheeto zel enen shnida it's isn na gai anit ashik edo shidne kashin tsaga ani san hit is bits in the has it kaje da sabich na hot it sato de kaje the jola hachash ajata le khachi da at anit akho Kaishi be na hot kodo the kosen sein nicht dol na dort da dol let del kosota ebeni na be eta aholiado hajo be was the ness se kwashi was dot kosenel ze o jo ado sa yugo jaga ko ol yeto ho wate was the sana kasha Astri da sani da hakedan na haraha ta hodensen hodet nila otis dahle esto na honna atailsen na winse ta hodet nila akonde dishji do yabik ahani ida akosa da khanaga akos bis khana hatsi trat kisle oyo tashdel khana halle akonde jobenda hini thinchik edo shidne ado din lech yanda la ho la adan no da akon es nana kashik edo shidne nana ashta Elchine ashho de shik edoshne. Elchine bit ho the nahastra. Elkedan shamasando shanal eninde. Kiko at all what no she ni hito ni he aho nahaso tran jita penan nish 18 zaid ashta se jita dak appen das nish akon hitni. Ina na ni heto kiko is not a katalata ni zota ni tiso and depini ye holongo at ela shikedo shitene. Be raha chinjilla chintan lo be raha is the chila shila yubitaj dilno. She benina honsenta kita ye hon ya haitin timpet ninde ya akaha oyo ahatzet na hala ha shi oyo khayan ta hasland akokadeta khojonet education na konde na khalchina ha job besta hosne don junoik it o tkinklo at action lini do yuhitos also at da ha job best khojilna Adoti nas national sini isto panan hinch kan shik edo shidene di nikichinto nikizeta tates bali khajopen ta khe ado tata do sane khala aden la ya iraho pesentil nishita hos ya iraho to bezeto bechintat es balo bi rahata huicha ot Ado na nishita ado ahon na eta o sanne esto jobi gahen das ni o ye go be eta ko jilya ado ka ishi tsojos inido din apen sekesi da just trajoban jara afan chit o shik edo shidne ado ka shine la to ye go pata huilne dan le ne dago o yon tanil en akoti khashin so contact tracing dishne na alkahi astisne khade that the course an sai fotol na alkahi aitan olkha di kontrati yala konno yani yado sekende la honzago eskisna hasnela o koni yande dano and el kato do stenos it ego do chon da alka ko ba ko nasinchik edo shidne Ado hashin sago kodo na tani no sini na khanda annishi o kono yui di hashin sago na khanda nishi tatino sen ado das nishi do na tani tatino sen jo independent kinda na na tani do batahya just kita ishi behes ani ye na han kinit dosen ol Ado sa yugo betan zikizu kocho o ikahojus on at jo di kwa hashin to belagan like telecommuting will ye hashine la amato je hon wad etchini na hastra ado hashine la apen sekesi ata sa la howan ko oyo kwa Toto yada he katan de jo hashin soko she kunna chi dish is ne kunna to adna kijit ada shin ho wad shi chin do na hayu jo artishne na khanda nishi pantanotra ho wad da tsin cha apen sekesi asa cho esa da na densin jonna nishi esa pata hollo na khate nishi Aho wadonal nish ichi lago pasalado lesto ado kwashe china pa khashia ado shaya ho ya tan hisno khajo pes esgata not ado to that etan hizade jo khastwido sani tskejke khajo pes jilnish be iskede khili pa hollo Ado hashin tsokati na nishiki jo ajetik adhut abe eslan deitle to be chiya to ani asa chika khas elkine khata to ado ata eslan itle koti automation do yani ki nal sosen chebet apen sekesi be ini jo ajo tati kashik edo shidne adinal sos ota bakata ne oyo sacho tati ka edo ba konosin etato nishido ba de do kaslot akodi da anishe jo ata inishto hatne akwande de nishe khajo Haleit a donito haleit anjuno kwatene banane nisto pan nike what ahit a kodiba lagana ke customer service o yo ben hich na hot di de neto san his tweeted cage da dano Raho, Rahuinton, Janobit has dotzi. Anna and let the ain't daga hala shakat or wasn't so ayini yaniya. A copesta ye had now. A jobit has dotzi. Abba hasn't ye, Heda had neho. Anna and let the hatzo. Abba hasn't. Jo edo, Hajo etas, and she edo shit Ntas nishini hin hitishna ado tahos na ini kita ahananat kashino san hizato yatat eta anna andleti be yatat hit. Shamasando shita ninda squido sani ka ida zinzon ka ida jokyo jokyo the bunch di zada ka wint on Kheda to yat hat zeho ado atse na hodishne na adish yant tapajini ado hota na hojilne customer service ye yatio oyo pahat she dashno hota dashno ekajo she she hota be yetio yat akonda hashine lato tlodil chicho tlodil tlodil chigo be trayako ni lasto Konde to the agile to shikedo shidna edo ba hanosen ado isteto neto antan hiti ni akol ade yichina ni daga do chida yehne no yate nata di no ya nata hiliza bana di ka ado hashin tsakati the kos bit ata atsido hashin tsakapashinta ho Edo naka setat ato naka seta jo ya esto sato de kosensa ye na pa to ha o seko hoto na ko to tsit edo shidne sa khwash jaho aye go shibe na hoi nani etan ze en akonde jo astishne ab ajo ye ta anni Do ya days no hashin sagoti kwa is it na atol ni hot no jo aj big just on akosa as you go as is empes na has ango ani the net hal nei abet to hoye esto aj ako the neck just like chich kato tsito yesho hodol ne la na shita no sente Jo edo ako epiton hoye ako na ani ni tabenta ni kino ist etoni ado kodoshi yash hashin soko ado shi office of the controller jidel nishi di hashin soko peso halel yesho na hui na jo aj hashin saka peso sante anle kenal keden aj peso ante ane hashin sako khodo nikite ne lini sapich hoto ni jo hota be nata azli ako aro aj peso na gaj nihibik etadano do tabet o ni aro hashin sako abe ni soit khodo Enna nailgo akoti nihi executive branch dan hit ninja koto nihinat an lini nihito sato oche etsalate nat ani dan oslini ko amasan echeda sato bebe ka anda chakata nalsos be khata to seta bata at khata hosnet dan hit no jo hashin sakon hinan nish ini zinchit edo shitne Akoti ajanal so siki anes oko anes quantnes oquante big inch on nesiki ejoti satahaka atol was a in need yan hasna di quapas nahas no di qua John le khad lahni akaha shi ai qua address the khadal in de sa yes qua khaz ani shutiti qua radio station KT in che ta ho and late hot soje a b gahosa khaz a kerkin ta hasne ntshagoya at building jo a qua sapas khaz at higo sa hakan ta cha qua sapas khaz anana sa e sa yugo de yiji e qua pas khaz akotina sos khadlehi tra ti konda tikit asaigi e ya khayla pa khadle ashne ta khadle tote at satapes ta khadle jo e qua snat is adona kion e ya akwa ta khadlehi nal sos e khaji Alaji do kedo haji adonal sos han nahajeke ado di an chapen sekesi email disne edo onaji in ado kapesh hanne ado enta reit ya shesnahaton netno e pesh hanne zinzo e kwasnat is ado enta reit ya shesnahaton netzinzo nal sos Shan nahat jehi that's good no aqua anaj eat is none that not is a koti put honnet up a kai onas neliki to a astation letters put don't know that on that has aniki a pescatash lehi ho what the besnahati is tra to a tra on it's a aqua nana aqua hajinaj dot lee ado large khaji do kedo khaji ado hanne e khapesh pesh desne ya sa e pesh desne ado na akonne e last 4 digit a social security number e nal tosto ejisha e nast e go kesnese e ke de ti de sneli e hanne anaji e Adona konne e ya kot ishi yizlito yo khalito ye khahi e na jili ado peso khane la chokedi chokhashin saka ben hisna hazne se bit tato tego e aslad ne zatino ashlad ne aslad ne znatin Asla de miljas do asla nezatin epe naha ahot I akonte to shi at bich to epe niya pahotation dina ado se bit tato ya go beta hego esla de nezatin jo kwa pa ahot akotina sos khashdelahi ki Haikeit enik nabakha it's a qoishta hashta totally ado biyade khachonne pestis ka edo khachonne bijinaj totally a large bijido bekedo biji ado bepeshnan ado halet nawachitishne ad anal tostot ijet nast esinili iket the din desinili enan Ado bet is chinito nana yizlito yo khasito ye khahi e nana ado konne ya shichonne just pass anajil in ado khade ya anna jo chapter affiliation desne ado the kwibana jokhe ado khachne beta haganito nana Khaskin khachonne tapes just ajo to setago nalsos khanash de totli adona konne ti konne oko ashla has oko ti konne iki ya nahot ikit ti yisbeniye peso cho khedi ki a khoti khedi shi tsepi ko na tasso etsa ba khai ta na nishta onza jin ta na holia do de da tse onza jin da tse na holia do de da tse tant ol khedi shi ado e kwa pesh na huis na no e kwa nast ot isto de nast o zota ado na kyo na e yato de da tsina nishte di ihe il kedi sa tsa pe to nel to de da tsin na heliene da tsin tsa sa ho anna za to sa ho elia na matra on na igi e ya lady PPE des nini etchinto azeta des balish esto a khashin tsakabe be saton chit na hoi na slash na hasin snit a hosh na hisnita ado di best a hot a best a hel any do chita gazita cho edo nana di on na igi e ya di that el utility des nini aji that a kedo sinli ajo e benina e kwa pesh na hot inzo e dato not eat ish ado di ho wando big any iliedo hashin tsako ato big en nisheda kwa ako ta hot in di benina jino da edo sat not eat so ajo be na hot eo ado na hon na e khastrango na e ya ado kwa hashin tsako di ni hike the cousin side betol na to ben na jinle Tan jata aja paho a asati aja sita aja pana ntraho. Jo kon na alwata a trochon. Ido ash katash do jdo yilta. Age yanda adebe. Yanda na haiti snil. Edo kwa ebe nash ish. Ado na tloshi to. Kashin tsaka na tloshin lini peso pa oselido. Adon de opan nigi da do trota na ho tropan na kende trota no na ado toni ki da ta no le na ta da ishi da jaina tloshi chios ado khashin tsokote bigo na eya elchini ki oltraje आज तो हाशिन चगती चापिन से कैसी तो बेहलो ना पन हस्नी बिन्ना कुछ निश्चय एकेदों दिनस्ली जनोता तो ते इल्चन दती चापिन से कैसी तो ना गनी इंटरनेट देखने जो दा पब्लिक एसन स्टाफ ना कुछ एकेदों से दिनली और जो तो क्वना इट तो ए आशा ता आत ए बेखच ना हुई ना शेती ख्वा था ता ती ता ताच आदो तो ते ताच आन जो पाहती ने तो ते आश जो पाहतीश ख्वाश खा ते श्ली ख्वाती था बेश ना ते ओना आशा ते मिलिया तो आशला ने जातीन इंच खेत नो ए ख्वा बे ना हस्त आदो खेत स्लादीगी ए या ya na atikhet ato chutin e khaten la to le ani tishne to yo chi to na hastelta chokhot adon le signature de na khatel le ki signature jno e na ishi olia ado yo khato yizlito yo khahiki chilin ado akhote ado yahanz sos ako Asian hotel o it's a go a day sleep sinejo jo the neck etche khajil na ako anza chato anza khana hot a shin jon jo the neck etche khashin sako pa huil na to a ben so it a pe huil na to big it o tin shi jo hashin sako the tweeto sani lini ani do it it akonde archen no flinido atsoke analike no flinido nikin kha na slash edo shitne ako ado kun sakwashi nihitanana si do johnny de initiash dik adi zitli bi ye anle pet da imnish do nedi na sosi kondenle na de zto ade enta peso leniki check will yeni shi ad enta kahinte tole ako ad ente chuk at Tostino nast 8,000,000 79,000 a konela yahanite dite and na kitamo that's a ban at the konza goshi oshi tashi yahanat nota a konda hajopen da hinotin Shahaba wishnet the lato hajo hajdil in your cheap hajdil lago asia nalie paholo shikedo shidne nalie to hajdil iho edo pa no sendo be ta hotia khashine la teneni klini a entito ta hotia do benta hinotin Ado kodo na ashkinde shido ale kodo konde dik at home at the nanstado hat o yeto is kanat his kanata anish ashin tsagotit at mo yajita mon de exante le konde ishto hat nido le jo abe nil soit e kodo yite ne en lini baka nature a kohon tsagoshin kodo hanana sido na he yego ta hotia shikedo shidna kitsuto ido khata hotia etta khata asi ako kodo da in hinat an lini tsele hanana tsi Mr. President ko adat ta irash ko otishne akodi ni kodo customer service wal yeni shikedo shidna Hajot atat nihizad hajot inosem bata hotia nihizad ten o adon nihizad desne konde yego atat shikedo shidne yego khata inosne yego zago shi the question leni nihiz atol to okohon sago hanana sit o letona ke khojana ta so gizido Hada dolki his kana that ejnish eskiln daha ado altsone in khaliat dole don hits atol to kosnal nehi kokon sodole